Ever wondered what it takes to stand out in a world that's changing faster than ever? Welcome to EBB, Education Beyond Borders, where young minds don't just dream big, they build globally. From grade 8 to 12, we guide ICSE and CBSE students through a transformational journey, with mentorship from a Harvard-trained academic, international collaborations, and passion-driven projects that matter. Whether it's discovering your purpose, building an elite academic portfolio, or acing your dream university applications, Education Beyond Borders is your launchpad. With EBB, you don't follow the crowd, you create your own path, one that's bold, one that's beyond borders. Ready to redefine your future? Join Education Beyond Borders, because the world is waiting for your story.
Good evening, everyone. This is the first inaugural lecture of Education Beyond Borders is something that I created. I am Dr. Ravi Iyer, and I graduated from Little Flower School in 1974. So I was one of the first batches that graduated from Little Flower School, and that is 51 years ago. I joined the school in 1962, which is 63 years ago. I was 4 years old. The journey that I have had and the purpose of today's talk to all of you is to expose everyone in this meeting to ideas that they can take with them into the future. The idea of what I wanted to say to all of you was education today in this day and age is all about curricula, what you read, what you study, what exams you give, and what grades you get. And I wanted to share something with you that the best things that can happen in your life is not the successes you get, it's actually the failures that you have. And the essence of what I wanted to communicate to all of you is the world of tomorrow is your world, not mine. My story is over. Mine is in the second part of this. As a physician who graduated from Little Flower School, today I occupy a position where I've done a lot of things. And it is not the things that I did that matters. It is actually the attitude I brought to it that actually I wanted to communicate to all of you. And out of that came this idea of Education Beyond Borders. Education Beyond Borders is going to be a series of lectures that go out to all schools in the ICSE and CBSE zone. And to begin with, let me share a little video and introduce you to someone that all of you know, Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai. Share my screen. So today's talk is going to be about focus. And if you talk about focus, everyone talks about what subject they need to learn. But just think about it. If you did not have control over what you paid attention to, there's absolutely nothing that you can ever accomplish. And if you look at this idea of focus, the greatest people in the world all had this one thing around them, and that was they had one point to which they would focus all their efforts on. Here, look at this conversation about Sundar Pichai.
So I have nothing to do with this question. How much did you score in your class 12?
Not enough to get into Sriram College of Commerce.
See, that is Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, talking about how poorly he actually did, that he could not even get admission into Sriram College of Commerce. And now he rules the greatest company in the world. And if you look at his trajectory, all of it is just focus. And this idea of focus is something so important that I want all of you to pay attention to the way in which you actually listen to the things around your life. Think about the next video I'm going to have is about 1.5 to 2 minutes long, and I'm going to ask all of you to watch the video very carefully and count the number of times the ball gets passed around in the team of white. You're going to see a group of people.
This is an awareness test.
All right, you have two teams, a team in white and a team in black with a ball. Each team is going to pass the ball to their own members. And I want you to count, all of you, I want you to watch this video and count the number of times the team in white passes the ball. Okay? Just keep watching the team in white and see how many times they pass the ball.
How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13.
How many got that right?
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
How many saw a bear while the people were passing the ball? Go! This is the essence of paying attention. We all have two ways of knowing things. We have the way of our five senses that actually feel things. We see things. We actually experience the interaction of our environment with our five senses. We have photons striking our eye, giving us light and sound. We have molecules touching our skin, giving us touch. We have molecules that drift up our nose, giving us smell. Molecules that fall on our tongue and give us taste. Wind and air molecules striking our eardrum, giving us sound. Now, out of these interactions with our five senses, we perceive the world. And then we make a meaning. That meaning we make, the interpretations we make, the assessments we make constitute what we pay attention to. We don't pay attention to our perception as it comes. We pay attention to the meanings we make out of our perception. And focus is the ability to stand between both perception and meaning and pick and choose what you want to pay attention to. This quality of focus is what makes Sundar Pichai become the CEO even after not being good enough to get into Sri Ram College of Commerce. It is this quality of what you pay attention to that determines how you do in everything you do in life. When Michael Jordan plays the ball, that's where it comes out of. So, I want to ask you this simple question. What do you pay attention to? Let me go back to the slideshow. Focus is the single most important thing that you can do in your life. Now, everyone talks about focus, but very, very few people teach how to develop focus. Let me give you a little secret. I want all of you from this moment onwards to spend exactly 1 minute every morning on focus. And I'll tell you how to do it. Find a place, 1 minute in your 24 hours of your day. Each one of you needs to have only 1 minute. And if you practice focus for 1 minute, you will rule the world. That 1 minute of focus needs to be done this way. Be in a place where you are free from distraction, where people can't come and bother you, your phones are off, whatever, you're alone. And in that 1 minute, just pay attention to the way your breath moves, how it flows into your nose and where it goes into your chest, and then follow it as it flows out. As you keep doing that, just count the flow of breath as it goes in and out through your chest. Just watch it. Don't try to make it fast or slow. It's like exercising a muscle. And when you exercise a muscle, you really don't count anything more than the movement of your hand as you lift the weight. And you count the reps. Like that, you just watch the breath going in, go out. Count it 1, watch it again. Count 2. And do that for 60 counts, which is 1 minute. And then go back to your everyday work. You won't see the improvement immediately, but as you go forward, you will start seeing it spill over to activities around you. You will start seeing that your ability to stay on task keeps increasing from point to point. Focus is what allowed me to do all the things that you see on the slide. From being a physician, running a clinic, being a top doctor, doing coaching for people, giving 3 TEDx talks, creating a company, writing multiple books, all of that comes out of focus. And this intensity of focus that is key to where we go in life. I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to open the room to comments in the chat. Go ahead, start putting all questions you have on the chat. I'll take them as we go and we can start having a dialogue. Anyone out there who wants to write out a question to me, just write them in the chat room and then go on from there. There's a message to me. How can I remain consistent? This is Shaurya Sarkar. How can I remain consistent? Initially, you won't. That is the purpose of practice. Do you think Michael Jordan was always hitting 5-pointers, 3-pointers every time? No. The first shots will go. Consistency is not important. What is important is the effort. Consistency of effort. That is, everyone talks about being consistent as the result. Forget about the result. If you want to be consistent in failing, keep failing. Be consistent doing that and you'll stop failing eventually. So when you talk about that 1 minute of exercise, you create environmental things that will help you. So 2 things you are going to need for consistency is you're going to need external help in keeping you consistent, and then you have internal help. One external help is if you have a goal of being 1 minute on focus, set an alarm. You all have cell phones, set your alarm at 8 a.m. And then at 8 a.m., tell everyone to stop. So the one thing about consistency is you have to be able to make a choice. And to make a choice, you have to say no to something. You can't say yes to everyone who demands your attention and be able to control attention. You can't. At some point, you're going to have to say, hey, wait, I got something to do. I'm going to do this and not do that. So how to inculcate focus in our life as a student, Mahika? Same thing. How do you start with 1 minute? Everything starts, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with 1 step. Start 1 step. Forget about the 1,000 miles. It is just 1 step. 1 step. And then from that, you go to the next step. Ananya's question was, how do you stop procrastinating? Procrastinating is not giving up on something, it is not knowing what to choose. People who procrastinate are not procrastinating. They are actually saying, I will do this, and then choosing to do something else. So you're still choosing something. You're not choosing what you first said in the first place. So the question, therefore, is, why do you say something and do something else? Why do you not choose the thing that you say? You see, the person who chooses the thing that they say becomes a person who can be trusted, because what happens is, you know that what that person says, he is going to do it. The person who does not choose what they say cannot be trusted. See, today I'm not going to teach you what to fish. Like a fisherman, some people are going to catch big fish, some people are going to catch small fish. I'm not going to be here telling you what to do. I'm going to tell you how to do it. Each one of you is going to go into life and do something very important with their lives. Now, what you do is immaterial, but how you do it is what is going to be the most important thing. So coming back to Ananya's question of how do I stop procrastinating? Procrastinating is basically not sticking to the choice that you first said you made. So somebody says, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and then chooses to not get up when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. That is procrastinating. So if you talk about procrastination as procrastination, it is very difficult to break it. But if you talk about it as choice, then it becomes very easy to break it. So when you say that you're going to do something, and then at the time when it comes to do it, you end up doing something else, all you did was you made a different choice. So the question you have to ask is not why you did not make the choice. The question you really have to ask is, why do you make choices that are different than your speech? See, the word you say has a value, but the person who gives your word value is you, not anyone else. So when I say I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and then I do something else, the person who destroyed the value of my speech is me, not somebody else. My father taught me a lesson once. He said, some of you may find it amusing. He asked me to do something. And I said, yeah, Dad, I'll do it. 2 days later, he asked me, did you do that thing I asked? He said, no, Dad, I didn't have time. And he said, don't ever tell me that you didn't have time. Say that you didn't think that this was important enough to do other than the other things that you thought were more important to do. If you wanted to write a letter to the girl next door, you would have written it on a piece of soap and given it. You did not think it was important for you to do what I asked you to do. That is the reason why you didn't do it. So the thing that you have to consider in procrastination is, how much value do you give to the weight of your word? How much importance do you give to the words you speak? See, the word you speak is literally how you build your life. Our life is the language we use. Life is nothing except what we speak. Life is nothing except what we describe. It is not things happening. It is the words, the language we speak creates the life we have. When somebody says, I am going to win this, or I am going to become first in class, or I am going to score XYZ marks in this subject, it is a language you speak, and then you make a choice of certain actions based on that language. So when you talk about focus and about procrastination, it is always about how much attention do you give to the words you speak every second. Once you say it, can you hold on to it? And to hold on to it, you need focus. So how are you going to hold on to something if you never develop that focus, that ability as a muscle? If you want to go and develop physical fitness, you're going to need to go to a gym, you're going to need to exercise, you're going to need to build weights, you're going to need to run and develop stamina. Unless you do that, you don't get the result. So like that, for focus, unless you spend 1 minute every day paying attention to one thing, one task, and I gave you an exercise, just watch your breath. It is an easy exercise. You can do anything. You can say, okay, I'm going to start painting a particular picture. The Japanese have something called a tea ceremony. The Japanese tea ceremony is entirely an observational exercise. You sit there, you make a cup of tea, you're focused entirely on the way you are stirring the cup, the way the smell comes in, how the tea tastes, how you offer it to the person sitting across the table. That entire exercise of the tea ceremony, the Japanese tea ceremony, is an exercise in focus. So if you did that and you practice focus, then you take that from one task to the next task. Then you take that in one position where in the midst of 20 other things, you are able to focus on one thing. This doesn't happen overnight. But when you start with 1 minute becomes 2 minutes, 2 minutes becomes 10 minutes, 10 minutes become an hour becomes 5 hours, 5 hours become a day becomes a month becomes years, years become a lifetime. That's how you build. That's where you start, from a journey of one step to the top of Mount Everest. And the purpose is always one thing. How do you express yourself in your life such that whatever you think can come out to its fullest form? And to do that, you need this one tool, focus, nothing else. All the mastery of all the subjects, math, science, geography, history, arts, all of that comes out of this one tool, focus. If you don't have focus, you can't have anything else. I'm going to open the meeting again to people for their questions. I'm going to extend it to another 20-30 minutes so that we can have people ask me the questions they have that is important in their life. Ananya, did I answer your question? You can answer directly. And Shaurya, did I answer your question? Mahika? Okay, yes. Any other person who has questions? Shreya asked me a question, how to keep good focus in a task. I'm going to break up your question. You asked three things: good, focus, task. The first thing you want to do is throw out good. Good is the enemy of progress. When you start something, don't focus on being good at it. Nobody is ever good when they begin. Everyone is lousy when they begin. Did you know I failed? I'll tell you when I failed. I graduated from LFS and then I went to Bombay. I went to Bombay and I joined Bhavan's College Andheri for my +2. Do you know how much I got in university? 40%. 40%. I barely passed. You know why that happened? Because in Little Flower School, I had so much support around me. Teachers telling me, did you do your exam? Did you do your homework? I had parents watching me, making sure I did my assignments on time. And then I had all this support. I never learned to function without all these assistants. These supports were my little assistants. And suddenly in Bombay, I was all alone in the college, no assistants, nobody telling me to do my homework, nobody asking me whether I got up on time. I had no ability to focus. I never learnt it in school. And so it is a 9-month course. I spent 6 months just wandering around college. 3 months before the exam, I started looking up which textbooks I needed to study. It was just that I had some natural intelligence that I managed to pass. But in India, passing is worse than failing, because at least when you fail, you can take the exam again and pass with good grades. Now I have passed the exam, so I'm stuck with my 40%. I can't go anywhere. All colleges said 40% student, we don't need you. I got into Armed Forces Medical College. I did the entrance exam. You know how difficult it is to get into the entrance exam of Armed Forces Medical College? When I sat for the exam, 100,000 students also sat with me. I was one out of 100,000 students I got into the Armed Forces Medical College. I could not go for the interview because they wanted 50% in plus 2. I had only 40%. So I didn't go for Armed Forces Medical College interview. Came back to Jamshedpur, joined Cooperative College. When I joined Cooperative College would not give me the BSc honors course. They gave me the pass course. I was totally broken down at that time. I had nowhere to go. I had no college would have me. No college wanted to know anything about Ravi Iyer. All my classmates, they had gone into IIT, medical school. They all had gone. I was cycling from Telco Colony to Sonari every day in the blazing hot sun. 27 miles I would cycle, because I decided that I don't want to ask my father for the money for the bus fare, because I felt I did not deserve it. I would cycle every morning to college and then I would come back. And I had only one thing in my mind. I somehow wanted to become a physician. I had already made up my mind that that's what I wanted to do. So I studied for the Bihar Medical School entrance exam, because Bihar, the medical college, only needed 2 things. They needed a pass of 40% in plus 2, and they needed you to be a resident of Bihar. That's all. So I joined my state medical school and I got selected and joined Nalanda Medical College. To give you an example of what focus is not about doing things perfectly. It is not about becoming good from the beginning. It is about stumbling and getting up. Focus is about doing it. You'll start with one task and you'll do, and some distraction will come and it'll take you away. And then you will spend 5-10 minutes on something else, and then suddenly you'll remember, oh, what am I doing? I was supposed to do this. Then you get back. When you get back, don't beat yourself up. It is natural to get pulled away. That is, the nature of the mind is such that it will automatically go in different directions. It is like water. See, water, for it to flow in one direction, it needs a channel. If you don't have a channel and you just pour water on flat ground, it will flow in every direction. It will not go in one path. For it to go to a path, you have to create a groove. You have to dig and create a groove. And that groove is the effort of focus. When you have that groove of focus, then the natural energy of your mind, which is like water, instead of flowing in different pathways, will go along a single pathway. But that pathway is not given to you from birth. You have to create it. Each one of you has to create it. And the only way to create it is to dig. The only way to create it is, when you dig, what happens? You don't always get soft ground. You will dig with a sharp tool and it hits the ground and there's a rock and bang, it hits the rock and your tool will get bent. You have to straighten your tool and then dig again. You'll have to pull the rock out. This is what I mean. How do you consistently have good focus? Forget about good and forget about task. Just focus on what you are doing, and each time you get pulled away, pull yourself back. No one else is going to pull yourself back. Your teachers are not going to pull you. Your parents are not going to pull you. It is you. The world will always pull you away. They will never pull you towards your task. Don't blame them. That is not their job. It is like me sitting here and saying, oh, the sun is hot. The sun doesn't care whether my back is burning or whether it is cool. The sun's job is to burn. If I am hot, I have to go to the shade. Same with all of you. So everyone wants to know what career. Each one of you have immense number of talents and gifts. I don't need to teach you what your gift is or what your talent is. That is for you. You already know that. Each one of you already know what you are good at. Let me go back to a little video here that teaches you about attention and how attention is. This video is about a pickpocket. This guy is a pickpocket, and he's doing a show in which he shows how he uses people's attention and how he plays with people's attention. It is very important because this is how your mind works.
One of the most common things that I steal is watches. I tell people in 3 minutes, I'm going to be wearing your watch. Try to catch me if you can. And that would be the game.
If you were going to steal my watch, how would you do that?
So this is more of an expose of it, but if I may see your hand. So yours doesn't come over the end of the wrist, but if you close your hand kind of tight, it creates a little bit of tension so your wrist gets wider. At the same time, while you're focused on your watch, you lost the cell phone that's in your front pocket. Check your front pocket, see if it's still there.
It is.
So that's what it looks like. That's the watch too. Well, stealing the watch, I think, is a lot like hunting rabbits. If you've ever tried to sneak up on a rabbit as a kid, you see it munching the grass, you come close, its ears perk up, and you wait until it goes back to munching the grass and you come forward again. Same thing with the watch. You do it in small steps. I do it, I see if you're alert to it, I do another step, I do another step. That was a very fast process for a watch steal. Something that's slower that you can do is as I'm shaking someone's hand and I'm holding here, I can open their watch in a handshake. The watch is virtually loose. The reason why I can't feel it is because with these 3 fingers I hold the watch closed. So they perceive that the watch is still fastened. What I can also do is now at this point, they have control, and that's a big thing, is them having the illusion that they're in control. So if I'm at this point, I say, your watch is safe. Do you have anything in this pocket? But now, when I come across, you see my arm hits here, but I flipped out the watch so that I can drop it in this outside jacket pocket. When I come back, I say, oh, you were wearing a watch a while ago. They've never let go of my hand. My other hand was over here, so it seems like I would have had a third hand in order to be able to steal that watch, and they think that they're in control.
So Paul, let's talk about the difference between how you work as a pickpocket and how a street pickpocket works.
I think of it a lot like a magician, but it has a different flavor in that it comes from street crimes. And I think they're kind of related. They're both focused on sleight of hand and misdirection. Generally on the street, they don't want you to remember their face. They don't want to talk to you too much. But this is more heavily geared towards focusing attention, playing with attention in a show. What it allows you to do is show the audience the behind the scenes of how the process works, which you normally don't get to see in magic.
You know, I would imagine that one of your bread and butter steals is a wallet from the inside jacket pocket.
On the street, that would be a harder steal because, again, you'd have to see my face. In performance, it is something that I do. So you've got a wallet in this outside jacket pocket.
Yep.
And do you have anything on your jacket pocket over here? Okay. Would you check your front pocket over this way? That's the steal. So I'm extracting the wallet out. And then I'd have you check, is this your wallet? You feel it's there. I hold it with my pinky and I grab your lapels, but it's actually outside of your pocket now. But when you see my hand come out, you feel like you have it.
Totally.
And as this hand goes up to touch here, it lets go of the wallet, so the wallet falls down your jacket, and this hand catches it. So as I go here, I grab it, but now your sight line is blocked by this arm. I extract from here, go up to your shoulder, talk to you for a moment. As I come in, I hand it across the back of your neck. Then I can do the throw and add some flourish to it.
You have a lot of incredible physical strategies and moves to steal, but what ties it all together is your ability to follow the wanderings of my attention, or as you put it, to surf my attention.
Yes, because each person is different in how they operate their attention and how engaged they are, because their priority system is different. So I have to decide, are they with me, or has their attention shifted to something else? So the important part is the trust. It's kind of like a force field or a little security zone, and you set that off when I step into your space. So I'm at it right now. But you know, it's even here, we're kind of at 45-degree angle, so as I'm coming into it. But as long as I'm keeping eye contact with you, it allows me to raise your suspicion level. Same thing, if I go here and I keep eye contact with you all the way, it's rather suspicious and you keep very focused on me. But if I want to get underneath that, I can break your eye contact as I go into the space and share a common view with you, like a confluence of looking at something. And now I'm very close inside your space. Now, if I don't want you to focus on this anymore, I can just look at you, and that draws your attention up into this triangle. And you're less interested in what's happening here, but allows me to do things here while your focus is here. You've got this spotlight that just moves back and forth. If you think about where the spotlight is, the dark space around that spotlight is where I dance. So basically, I just play in the dark around where your attention's moving.
That's the most important thing in that entire video. The dark space around the spotlight of your attention is where a pickpocket dances. So your attention, your world is determined by what your spotlight is on. People who can control their spotlight can control what manifests in their world. So look at what that pickpocket did. He uses people's attention, but he dances right outside the zone of their attention. Look at how it affects what each one of you do. Your attention is what your mind is on. While whatever it is on, it is not what it is on that's important. It is all the other things that it is not on that is important. If what your mind is on is something that is useless for your long-term goal, then all the things that it is not on has been lost. Do you get why focus is so important? Your attention, think of your mind not as if it is a big view. No, none of you have a big view. All of us have a very limited view. We can only look at one or two things at the same time. And when we look at one thing, we stop looking at everything else. That is the reason why when you're driving and somebody gets into an accident, they say, I never saw him. Why? Because the person's attention was here. And because it is here, it is not on all these other things. So I need each one of you to start looking at what is it that you are paying most attention to. And before you can even begin asking that question, each one of you have to start asking the question, do I really have control over my attention? You will be surprised. Each one of you will come to the answer that no, you don't have control over your attention. Everything else in the world has control over your attention. You are like a piece of cork, just helplessly drifting along the waves of the ocean. with no ability to direct its journey. And to get the ability to direct your journey, you have to practice the muscle called focus. And that task begins now. It cannot begin when you're 30, 40, 50 years. It cannot begin after you get out of graduation from college. It cannot begin when you are at work. It begins now. It is more important than your math class. It is more important than your science class. It is the one thing. It is like going to school and saying, I don't have a pencil. Without a pencil, you can't do anything in school. Without focus, you can do nothing in life. I need each one of you to develop this. And only you can do it. Let's go back to that video a little bit.
I would think that the most difficult steal is taking something out of someone's front pants pocket.
That's an urban myth. Well, here in the States, it's very common. There's two things. One, keep it in your front pocket. Two, put a rubber band around it. Both of those don't really help.
Well, because it seems to me that, I have a cell phone in my pocket. I can feel it. It's against my thigh.
I can see that.
And if someone goes, rummaging around in there, I'm gonna notice it.
Yeah, that's why you don't rummage. So what I may do is reach underneath your arm and grab something and say, do you have anything inside of here? Is there anything inside of here? And a lot of times people will naturally grab hold of their jacket for me because they don't want me to necessarily hold it. But what that does is it now opens up this frame for me to steal. So as I go to look inside your jacket too, a lot of times people will open up and they're looking inside. I'm now down inside your pants pocket. You're not aware that my fingers are in your pocket, but if I want to step across and say, also, can you step one step over this way for me? And just with your foot, that allows me to extract the cell phone out of your pocket. You think that what you're feeling is the side of my leg, but it's actually your phone coming out of your pocket. And as I step back,
I did not feel it. I really didn't feel it. And
I also got some sugar packets of money or something like that.
It's the family fortune.
So, to come back, your attention is your wealth. And if you start focusing on using your attention as if it is your most valuable currency, your true treasure is this. And you realize that when you say no to anything that steals your attention, you are saying yes to whatever makes you valuable. And if you start going through life saying that you don't need anything more than just the control of your attention, my attention alone is enough, then your entire world becomes your toy. The entire universe begins to start serving you. I'll stop here for any final questions. Any further questions? You don't have to ask. If you don't have any, I'll take your stunned silence as praise.
And students, if you have any questions, you may ask now. You can even type.
Yeah, just type them into the thing. You don't need to be scared about Miss Gracie or Miss Charmaine. Yeah.
You may type and ask any question that you want. If you need any tips regarding focus, you may ask.
Ezekiel, I'm going to call you out when you come in. You're late. So it looks like there are no questions. Now I'm going to have questions for you since you don't have any questions for me. And I'm going to type the question right here in the chat for everyone. If you had one wish and it would be granted, then what would that one wish be? Everyone, just type in your one wish. Type in your one wish that you want. I love that wish. Anisha. Shaurya, that is never going to happen to you. Memorizing anything in a read. You will get that. Sahana, that's a cop-out. I'm not going to let you have that. You can't have unlimited wishes. You can't wish for all good things. You got to wish only one. Shripranav. You will get that. To be better at math, yes. Be successful in life. That is not a good wish. Go ahead, choose one thing. Anyone can be that. That's too vague. Prapti, I'm going to ask you about that. Asmita, I'm going to ask you about that too. Priyadarshini, you will get that. Teresa, I don't think you'll have more time. You either have it right now or you don't have any of it. That's a nice wish, but you don't need to have an unlimited page. Anything you write will come true if you intend it. Amish, you need to be more specific than that. Prabhakar, I'll tell you how to go back in time. There is a method. I have an exercise called the time machine. Yati, you cannot make right choices. You can only hope to make choices and adjust as you go along. You never know whether your choice is right or wrong from the beginning. Arpita, you won't be able to win in every task, but you can work on every task. Sian, to be a kid again, how? Why again? Why are you not now? Asmita, may I get a review to my wish? Your review to your wish. Asmita, your wish was, I want to be successful enough to look at yourself in the mirror and be proud. I'll get that. Success is an opinion of the world at you. Don't live as if you want other people's opinion. Live because you want to create something directly from what you believe. Sometimes you'll do things and the rest of the world will not consider it important enough to be, to give you an award. That's happened to me thousands of times. I got 3 TEDx talks. I gave all of them. Only one of them got published. 2 of them got denied. Now, am I to suddenly feel all upset because 2 TEDx talks, TED did not feel that they were good enough to be put on YouTube? No. I gave the best talk I gave. One has 2.4 million views. Another had 1.75 million views before TED decided that it was not something that they want to promote, so they took it down. So things like that happen all the time. But do I consider myself successful? Success is what you feel that you did in terms of a focused effort. It has nothing to do with the rest of the world. Samarth and Alicia, you're late admitting in now. Prakhar Gautam, you had a question on wish to go back in time. I have an exercise called the time machine, and I'll teach all of you this. In my life, there is always something or the other that happens that does not really, not something that I like. Something upsetting happens. And when that happens, I do something, I get upset just like anybody else. And then I take a step back. A couple of days, I'll brood over it. I'll be all upset that it didn't work out. And then I do something called a time machine exercise. I sit and I focus on the thing that bothered me most. Let's say somebody spoke something bad about me, and I think about that. I think about that moment. I recreate that experience of being humiliated by that person. I recreate everything about that day. Then I go to that morning of that day before that event happened, and I recreate that moment. Then I go to the evening of the day before and I recreate that. Then I go to the morning of the day before, and then 2 or 3 days before, 4 or 5 days before. And I keep threading back in time, recreating every moment until I get to the point where I feel perfectly good about myself. And from that moment, I say, this moment is actually my present moment. And I erase everything that happened here. And I craft a new timeline. That's how I get over upsets. That's how I erase the things. I keep the lesson, but I erase the emotion. The defeating emotion, the thing that bothers me, the thing that makes me feel small, that I erase. I don't forget the lesson, I erase the emotional impact. And then I use that new point, that I go back in time to, I use that as the starting point of my life. Like that, I get over every failure in my life like that. It is not that I don't fail, I fail more than everyone else. But every time I erase back, I get into my time machine and I recreate. And to do this, you need focus. You can't focus to be able to create that morning before that bad event, to be able to recreate that morning. The problem is that we all live life in a collapsed domain of experience and story. The meanings you create is your story, and the experience of life is the actual event. And we collapse this together. We don't separate them because we don't have any focus. We don't have any control over our attention. So our attention, like a spotlight, is dancing all over the place. But when you control attention, then you can recreate. Okay, this person insulted me. I can recreate the morning. In the morning, I didn't wake up that morning feeling insulted. That event had not happened yet. I got up in that morning feeling completely enthusiastic that this day is going to be wonderful. And then I went on, and at lunchtime, that person did something bad to me. But that morning, I got up thinking that this day is going to be great. So I go back to that morning. And then I go back to the day before. And then I go back to the day before. Like that, I keep moving to the point where I had perfect day. And at that point, I say, okay, this is going to be my starting point. And I erase this. When I erase this, my life starts again new, afresh. Listen to me. I believe in a higher power. And the higher power that created all of us has given this wonderful tool called attention and this wonderful tool called memory to create both experience and story. The problem is we don't control our memory. We let our memories control us. We don't turn the pages of our memory. We make the memory turn our pages. Focus is the tool with which you turn the pages of your memory and decide. You think nothing bad ever happened to me. I'm 67 years old. My wife and I, we lost 6 children before we had our 2. 6 failed pregnancies. 6 lost babies before we had 2 wonderful kids. Did I hurt? Yes, I hurt. Was it painful? Yes. But that memory is a page that I don't turn except to know that those things happen. Use the time machine. Go back. Start again fresh. How many times did I fail? How many thousands of dollars have I lost? People I trusted who robbed me or took money away from me. Does that mean I stopped trusting? No. Time machine. Go back to the point where somebody actually deserved your trust and use that person as the starting point. Not the person who cheated you. You do this all the time. Everything is like this. That test you failed, go back on time machine to the one that you passed and then start again from there. This is how you live life. This is how you win. This is how you succeed. Just sitting and saying, I want to be successful, I want to look in the mirror and say I'm successful, doesn't happen. This is what you do. And then it happens. And then the rest of the world looks at you and say, look at that man, look at that person, look at that girl, look at that woman. They are successful. Look at what they are doing. But if you actually look at how they do it, this is how you do it. All right? So go back, go into your day. It is 7 p.m. tonight. When you go to bed, do this one thing. 1 minute. Pay attention to your breath and nothing else. The reason why I say breath is because it's easiest. It is part of you. It is the most, no breath, no you. So breath and attention are tied together. So when you pay attention to your breath, you're paying attention to attention itself. So it's easy. So when you start focusing on breath, just don't need to make it go fast or slow, don't need to hold it, don't need to count it, just follow like a tide. Like the incoming tide, the breath flows into your nose and into your chest. Then like the outgoing tide, it flows out. Just ride the tide. It's easy. Do that for a minute and then go to sleep. Let tomorrow's lessons happen tomorrow. Whatever homework you need to do, wait for tomorrow. Your timeline is infinite. It doesn't end. There is no deadline. It always is available. Time is nothing except just memory. See, we take a moment and you break it up with memory into past and future. Actually, there's no past, no future. There's only now. But because we remember, we say that was past. Because we have a dream and a hope, we say that is future. What is actually happening is only now. So stick with that and then you can win. I'll see you again in your next lecture.